Welcome everyone. Tonight we're going to be talking about a particular passion of mine, which is virtual worlds. I want to just tell a little story. My first experience in virtual worlds was in about, say, 1996 when we were in Vermal World, and I thought that was going to go too. But now I believe that this really may happen. So I've decided that I'm going to try to motivate this audience, for those who are not yet committed to the idea this stuff is actually going to work, give it a try, to at least think about it, and perhaps you might make some money at it. And I think really now that the hype is over. I mean, first it was the greatest thing since white bread, and then last year was slammed by Gartner and Wired said don't come here and all this other stuff. I think that's over now. And I think that if Virtual Worlds conference was any indication, I think that it's going to stick. I mean, there are things that are happening, relatively soon. You can be sure that Google's going to come out with, I don't know whether it's going to be 2D or a 3D virtual world app. Microsoft will, I don't know how far behind, but they will be there. And the number of virtual worlds, which is both a good and bad thing, is proliferating. So I call this getting your share of the money, game developers in virtual worlds, and I'd like to thank our wonderful sponsors. Okay, I call this the really big idea. I'll just leave it up on the side. I believe that companies, have money to pay and will pay you guys, the people who have the kind of skills, one, to convince them that you know what you're doing. So a large part of my presentation is to give you the tools that you need to convince people that you know what this stuff is about. Truth is, most people don't know much about it, so you certainly have a head start. And on basic skill set, I would say you have ability to tell a good story, you have a knowledge of text and create a very enjoyable user experience, and you certainly have an understanding of leveling up and how important it is to establish a sense of place. That one in particular is really important, particularly in virtual worlds, because there's a tremendous amount of disorientation when people go into worlds. So whether you decide landmarks, I remember that at GDC in San Francisco, I think his name was Stiefel. He was talking about that in that very issue. He says, well, whether you're on an imaginary planet or not, you still have reference points. So people need to know where they are. Okay, so I'd like to introduce our cast. Unfortunately, we're down one member tonight. Chris Varela from the Electric Sheep Company was called away to Los Angeles on business, certainly understandable. But we have Greg Trefay, I pronounced that correctly, and he's senior game designer for Game Lab, and we have Andy Fundinger. He's from the Metaverse developer and programmer for Involve. We have John Swords, the executive producer of the Electric Sheep Company, and I'm Donald Schwartz from Imaging Productions. I got to tell you something about Greg for 1 second. I attended a workshop that he gave on gaming. That was City College, right? Fascinating. I mean, he gave me a new sense of what play is all about. I mean, he really simplified it for me, and I'm a relatively newbie to the IGDA New York. I've been here about 2 years, and I still feel I'm feeling my way, but he definitely helped along. And then I attended John's presentation at Virtual Worlds at Javits, and I met Andy last year at the Virtual Worlds, what was that, down at the Jewish Museum, right?
No, Metaverse Meetup.
Yeah, but you were also down at the Jewish Museum, right?
2007.
But then one of the things that impressed me about him was his ability to see workarounds, to see possibilities. I mean, none of the virtual worlds are perfect. Now, in your packet, there's a lot of interesting information on platforms, various platforms, and there's also some interesting information on, different kinds of applications. And we put this together because A, I want you to get out into the sunshine. You can take this out with you. You can read it in sunlight. And B, I think this is something that will, that if you go through this and spend the time, I think you get a better handle, because there's no way we can cover this in 90 minutes. Okay, so Greg is going to talk about from Game Lab. He's going to talk about GameStar and why RPG mechanics, collecting and learning up, coupled to communities, make an irresistible combination. Andy's going to talk about some of his involved projects and what I call virtual world links and workarounds. And John is going to give you the platform evaluation now. I think he's good at it because he's actually, and he's not talking over his head, he's not reading, a feature sheet, he's actually used them, and so he'll tell you the pros and cons. Okay, so this is the first part of, say, I'm going to pitch an idea. So I think you guys are really multi-tool players. Maybe not 5-tool, but at least 3 or 4-tool. And going back to that storytelling skills, there's nothing different about virtual world as far as things that apply to MMOs. You have a beginning, middle, and end. You have to tell a story. And the other thing that I think is important, even if you have no experience in virtual worlds, you're still coming from an MMO background in certain cases, so you will tell them that you share objectives, that there are shared objectives between virtual world and MMOs. And the most significant thing is you know how to carry your community with you. So you know what these people want, and you know how to motivate them. So once, I think the significant thing here is you can understand virtual world visitors and what they need to know. So the first thing they need to know is, why am I here? And the second thing is, what do I do while I'm here? And the third thing is, what do I want to accomplish? Now these sound all like very familiar, the things that are acquainted to all gamers: goals, strategy, competition, leveling up. It's all part of it. And in my view of things, it's going to continue to be part of it. And I think that what's going to make virtual world successful is you guys, because you know what's sticky. One of the reasons that early, in Second Life is, like Circuit City would build a place and they expected everybody to come. It's deathly dull. But if you can develop some kind of game, and it doesn't have to be the most obvious game, but if you use the structure of the game, I really believe that people will want to come back and they want to play it again and again.